Curious about your thoughts on this. And why did you lose your driver's license? Call or text us. Georgia is thinking about making a new law that if students in Georgia miss a certain amount of school, they lose their driver's license.
Interesting.
You like that or do you hate it?
I have mixed feelings just because I was never the kid who missed a lot. Like, I was never close to being like a truant kid or anything like that.
Neither
having
was I.
a lot of school absences, so it's not a super relatable experience. But it also feels like should those be mixed? Is that an appropriate punishment for that? I don't know.
I am going to say that it is an appropriate punishment. And you might be thinking you're punishing the parents. And I would say, yes, you are punishing the parents. But if your kid isn't going to school and they're missing 10% of days, which is the cutoff, so 18 days a year, if they miss 10% of school days with unexcused absences, by the way, we're not talking about the kid is sick or anything like that. Unexcused absences, they lose the license. I think it is by and large the parent's fault if a kid misses 10% of school. So punish both of them.
Okay, does this change your opinion at all? Whenever I was in high school, if I was sick, that was an unexcused absence. Even if I had to have a parent know. The only excused absences were if it was a school function, like whenever I was on the dance team and the dance team had to travel on a Friday for a competition, so I missed school. Those were the only excused absences. Does that change your opinion at all?
No,
All
it
right.
doesn't. It doesn't, because who is sick 18 days a year?
All right.
Who needs to take 18 sick days a year? If I got sick that much, I would have absolutely no time off for vacation. I just don't think it really happens.
Okay.
601-995-1017. I want to know if anybody is listening and would like to admit why they lost their license. Because I know in Pennsylvania, maybe it's like this in other states, but that's where I grew up. If you got an underage drinking, regardless of whether or not your car was involved,
Right.
you lose your driver's license. Like, obviously, if you're underage and get a DUI, yes, of course, take the license away. Or overage and get a DUI, take the license away.
This was like busting a college party.
Bingo.
And some of the kids were underage.
Yes.
You would lose your license.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know that was necessarily fair because I always thought, like, underage drinking has nothing to do with driving. It definitely shouldn't have anything to do with driving. Why does the punishment have to do with driving? Do you have thoughts on this? Would you like to see this approach adopted in the metro? Abby's here, and we're so glad you called, Abby. What do you think?
It's interesting that we're applying a consequence to something that we're curious, like we should be curious because, like, I know, like, how Allison said, like, only certain school, activities were listed as excused, and that was also the case whenever I was in school as well. And so the question then becomes, like, okay, so if that was the case for some schools, was that the case for all schools? It's like, where is it that we have the line drawn? We don't have that answered. So we also don't have the answer of why certain kids are, missing classes.
I have a couple thoughts because on the one hand, I think that generally speaking, kids who miss school a lot, like I'm not talking a day here and there, like 10% of the school days, the home life is probably not great. It's probably not like the home life that I grew up with. So I understand where you're coming from there. But if the home life is that bad, can they really afford to have a car?
There is that. But at the same time, you're also kind of missing, like when we apply the situations of only the ones that we lived in, we kind of miss the fact that there are those that are in the category of working poor. Like their parents are working, they're also working to try to keep the house afloat.
Yeah.
And if we kind of miss that demographic, then we kind of miss a large part of society that is struggling, and we punish them instead of helping them.
Thank you so much for the call, Abby. We appreciate you providing that different perspective
Absolutely.
that we didn't have. And that's what this is all about, just sharing our opinions.
Yeah, we all are going to have different experiences of life, so we're going to come to the problem with different solutions.
Shunda texted us and said, sounds like a Hail Mary approach that will most likely not bother the group that it's targeting. If you're not going to school, do we think they care about having a license?
That's a good point, too.
Yeah, I don't know. Because just whenever I read the headline, I was like, that's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. That's going to get kids back to going to school. They don't want to lose their license, but there are so many other aspects to the problem.
Exactly. I mean, like you brought up, it could be an issue with parents, home life, things like that. And if those issues aren't addressed, is that going to fix it? Probably not.
It's Adam and Allison. Welcome to the show. What do you think, real quick?
Hey.
Oh.
No.
Man. I wish there was something we could do to fix the phones. Maybe I should have actually, hang on, let me stop that and go back here. Hey, what were you going to say?
Hey, sorry. Yeah, it's Leslie. No, I just wanted to say, as somebody that was always sick in school, like I have my autoimmune disease, so I would have to miss a lot going to get chemo treatments and stuff like that. None of those excuses were actually excused.
See, that seems messed up to me.
That was pretty rough in high school for me because I had like 2 more days in my senior year that if I missed, I would have to repeat.
See, that kind of totally changes my perspective because if that isn't an excused absence, I don't know. Like, certainly a dance trip shouldn't be. No offense, Allison.
Well, yeah, but that's how it works.
Exactly.
Thank you for the call and that extra info for me, Leslie.
Of course, guys. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Adam and Allison in the morning.